Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, we are continuing with Surah A'la. We are starting from ayah number 8. وَنُيَسِّرُكَ لِلْيُسْرَى. In the previous part of the surah, we have understood the da'wah of the Tawheed, that one needs to glorify the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Most High. And there are some boundaries that one needs to make sure that they are within those boundaries in order to glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once that has been crossed, either the guy has done shirk or the guy hasn't given the right attributes or the right praises to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which would cause him lacking in his religion. But mostly it relates to that one has done, they have done ilhad, الَّذِينَ يُلْحِدُونَ فِي أَسْمَاءِ, those people who have done deviation concerning the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is a huge crime and the biggest of the crime for a Muslim, for the one who believes in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us some of the dalail. الَّذِي خَلَقَ فَسَوَّى. Allah is the one who created all, and after the creation He gave it perfection, the proportion. It wasn't just created and then left. Everything was put in a balance. Just imagine, look, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us some signs. Those people who have some sort of disability, or those people who can't move at all, look at the difficulties that they are going to. Imagine if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did the same to all, then it would be a bigger disaster. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has protected, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you these as the signs to look at these, take ibrah, take lesson from that. Thereafter, وَالَّذِي قَدَّرَ فَهَدَى. Allah, He is the one whom you need to glorify. He gave you balance. He is the one who gave you guidances. Like we talked about in this in a great detail. So many guidances have been put in a human, that they can recognize things with the senses that Allah has given. With their brain they can come to certain conclusion. With the morality that they have been put in, their rationales that Allah has given, they know that lying is wrong, cheating is wrong, stealing is wrong, killing someone, whatever, all these crimes that we think even if you are not religious whatsoever, you don't even go near a civilization, but you will still be able to recognize that causing damage is something which is wrong, either to yourself or to other people, to other property and things like that, and so on. So in your morality or rationales, Allah gave you as a guidance. Thereafter, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends you Quran, Wahi, prophets and so on, that comes as for your guidance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes path easy for you as well. So all sorts of guidances that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you, and and وَالَّذِي قَدَّرَ فَهَدَى, you have already been destined, things have already been decided for you. On you is to choose the path that Allah has given you, either choose the right or the wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala already knows, but what you need to choose is the decision is on you. The knowing of it which you're going to choose is already known to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you are in control of Allah. How insignificant you are, you need to realize this, and you need to realize how high Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, the most high. So when you have realized where you stand and where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stands, where all of His creation stand, and where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stands, automatically you will become grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His praises, either by your actions or by your tongue. Both will come together, and that's why you will declare the supremacy of the name of your Lord, the Most High. سَبِّحِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ الْأَعْلَى. Furthermore, other than the blessings that He has done on your body, for your spiritual being and so on, He has also provided for you sustenance that you can take benefit from. وَالَّذِي أَخْرَجَ الْمَرْعَى فَجَعَلَهُ غُثَاءً أَحْوَى. And in that we studied in great details So take what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you from these blessings, eat that. Like you animals will eat that, you eat the animals, or this pasture, as you say, is all sorts of vegetation, all sorts of greenery that comes out from the land. And فَجَعَلَهُ غُثَاءً أَحْوَى, according to one of the translation we did, is either it expires, it becomes black stubble, or it reaches the limit of it. So it becomes, it reaches full potential basically. So both translation we had. So either you take benefit from these pastures that you see that expires at the end of it, like how all these things that you see that comes to an end and end and end, similarly this world that you see so green and so lush will come to an end. And the other, the way you take benefit from, like how these things which are green little bit, they just growing up and then they become dense and beautiful at the end. Similarly will be your state when you want to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There will be difficulties coming on your way. When you give da'wah, very few people will be listening to it. When you talk in your family that we shouldn't do our wedding in this fashion, we shouldn't do our business in this fashion, there might be one person listening to it attentively, or maybe they will all be listening to it attentively, but none of them will be acting upon it. Then as time passes, you keep on reminding, you keep on working in your deen, you keep on learning Quran and Sunnah for Rasulullah, you will become strong yourself in faith, as well as the effect of it on the other people. So it will gradually, from this little greenery, it will become dense and lush as you progress. So this is the way, this is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well in everything. And why would this happen? And what the blessings Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you? سَنُقْرِئُكَ فَلَا تَنْسَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you read. If you're talking to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have done this. But how does it relate to us? We're going to take it that way in this reminder, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the Quran, the understanding of Quran easy for you. You will never forget. Once you have taken your aqidah, your creed from the Quran, no one will ever be able to corrupt you. No matter how many these mulvis or peers and things like that tell you these fairy tales and these misguided ideas and things like that, they will not corrupt you. If you are holding on to the Quran sincerely, know you are in good hand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not let you down. And this is what we learn, illa ma sha Allah. And we talked about this, that this is the like a guarantee from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you hold on to Quran, if you want the Quran in your life, you will never be misguided. You will never forget your Quran. You will never forget your Tawheed. So this is what we are learning. And thereafter, another aspect of the Tawheed, إِنَّهُ يَعْلَمُ الْجَهْرَ وَمَا يَخْفَى, that no, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. So He has created everything, He knows everything. So everything that's related for your need has been clarified in here. So what do you need to do? You need to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this dunya, whatever you do, it has to be according to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent, and you turn to Allah for all your needs. Every good thing happens to you, you attribute it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every calamity that comes on you, you turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for assistance and need. Once that has happened in your life, this is what's happening next. وَنُيَسِّرُكَ لِلْيُسْرَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make the path easy for you. It is the path of you living in Sharia in this dunya, as well as your path to Jannah. So they both link together. So basically, this will be the blessing that Allah will give you, that the path to Jannah will become easy for you. Similar theme has come in the Quran in a different place with regards to the Quran, with regards to the understanding of the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ يَسَّرْنَا الْقُرْآنَ لِلذِّكْرِ فَهَلْ مِن مُدَّكِرٍ. And we have certainly made the Quran easy for remembrance. So is there anyone who will remember? Tafseer Ibn Kathir talks about this, and he says, meaning, we have made the Quran easy to recite and comprehend for those who seek these traits, to remind mankind, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ إِلَيْكَ مُبَارَكٌ لِيَدَّبَّرُوا آيَاتِهِ وَلِيَتَذَكَّرَ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. Talking about the Quran, a book which we have sent down to you, full of blessings, that they may ponder over its ayat, and that men of understanding may remember. So you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is the wisdom of revelation? is for one to ponder over the Quran, for one to dive deep into the Quran. Think what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying. How does it relate to you? So like the ayahs that we just did earlier, and we linked سَنُقْرِئُكَ فَلَا تَنْسَ to our life. How does it relate to us? Even though we understand, and some of the ayahs that come in different places, that is talking to Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But how does it relate to us? Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam has gone, even though the making sure that the nabuwwah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam is strong, it relates to us, it relates to our belief in that fashion. But how does it relate to us now if you hold on to the Quran? The guarantee of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relates to us or not? It does if certain conditions are applied. So same, we need to ponder over the ayats of the Quran. And it is not that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we have revealed this Quran to certain people, the Arabs, or to some of the people who go to Madaris for 8 years and things like that. It is for everyone. It is for those people who wants Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you have any sorts of desire, if you have a little bit of sincerity, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open the doors for you of this Quran. I give you my example. I will not praise myself, but this is just an example for those people who are in that boat, what they should do. I was struggling at the beginning. I didn't know, I wanted to understand the Quran. So for example, when I was a little kid, whenever I used to memorize the Quran, I used to learn the translation with it. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it in this fashion that it was easy for me to learn the Quran with translation, and it was very difficult to learn it without the translation. So it made more sense to me that I'd read it, and that was the focus, that I understand the Quran, I understand what he's saying in here, and that will make it easy for me to remember and to link one lesson of my Quran to the next and so on. So I started in that fashion. Then later on I did Tafseer with various ulama. I went to different places and I studied Tafseer with Shuyukh. However, I was struggling to start teaching Tafseer. Once I started, and there was this big thing happened, and there were so many like normally, it is the norm. Whenever you start the Quran understanding or Tafseer or translation of the Quran, you will see people standing in front of you telling you, you are this and you are this, you will cause misguidance, you are not qualified in this. So many things you will hear. So these shayateen are everywhere basically. But I did start somehow. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it easy for me to start. Then now it has become the norm in the locality that we are living in, or especially where I am teaching, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made the entire teaching of the Quran with translation, that has become like compulsory. If that's not present, then they feel like they haven't done the job with the Quran, which is important. The purpose of the Quran hasn't come for us to read the Quran with perfect tajweed or maqamas or different riwayas and this and this and this. Learn it, memorize it, which was our focus initially in our madaris. But then, once we have understood this, that this is the translation, the understanding of Quran is on the forefront, this is on the top. This is what you meant to do. This is what the Quran came for, so you can understand. Otherwise, like we said it again and again, what the book has become of? A book of earning ajr, a book of earning thawab. That's it. There is nothing else for us in the Quran. Na'udhu billah. The people only pick the Quran up so they can earn some ajr, they can get some sort of barakat, and so on. All those apply, but they are not the main focus of the Quran. Quran hasn't come for you to read Qul huwallahu ahad, Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, so you can seek protection, and that's it, done with it. There are other things that apply in this Quran. This Quran has come as a syllabus, as a way of life. If that doesn't come, you are not taking that from the Quran, you haven't lived the Quran. You have become from those people who have neglected the Quran, who have thrown the Quran away. Like it comes, وَقَالَ الرَّسُولُ يَا رَبِّ إِنَّ قَوْمِ اتَّخَذُوا هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ مَهْجُورًا. Those people who have forsaken the Quran is the one who do not understand it. Even though they have the capacity, they have the brain, they can understand other things, go to university, go to colleges, get A levels, get GCSEs, whatever. they can understand those things which are complicated, which are so many books are out there. Yeah, they put you in doubts and they cause you distraction and so on. You have to study for so long in order to understand the basics of it. While the Quran is so easy, it is within your fitrah to understand the Quran. It is in your fitrah. The Quran is talking about your fitrah. Everything that you already know is just beginning polished. Basically, that's what the Quran does. But if you want to understand deeper, the Quran is full of knowledges. We're not saying it in Na'udhu Billah that it is everything is there for you just to pick and whatever you need is everything simple and like that. Like 1 + 1 is 2, and no, it's not like this. We're saying that the things that you need, the things which are important for your succession, for your being successful with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has been put on top. You can pick it up easy. But if you want to dive deep, if you want to have further, stronger connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you want the Quran to speak to you, it will speak to you. This is an ocean of knowledge. There is no doubt about it. And as further as I go in my studies, I find out more and more and more amazingness of the Quran. Now it is from my attitude that I listen to the ulama who have done the tafseer the last in their lives, those who have passed away. I look at that. Why? Because they have understood the Quran more. They have understood and they have removed so many of the faults in the tafsir and so on. As you go further and further in the Quran, your iman gets polished. You become more beautiful in your belief with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You become more perfected and perfected. But on you is to start somewhere. What are you going to say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Day of Judgment? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent this Quran for your guidance and you haven't taken it in that way. You haven't understood a single bit of it. How would it become for you as a guidance? How would it become for you a reminder that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep on saying? How would you be able to ponder over this Quran? How are you going to ponder over anything that's related to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the Quran, without the Quran? This is a big problem in the ummah, that we have neglected the Quran in that fashion, that we do not understand the Quran. We do not open the Quran in a fashion to take some sort of ruling from it. We do not open the Quran to sort out our problems with it. We do not open the Quran to go closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by following His commands and avoiding His prohibitions. We don't, because we don't know. And that's the reason we are in this mess. But going on further, وَنُيَسِّرُكَ لِلْيُسْرَى. So what's going to happen? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you stronger internally. The difficulties and the issues will remain, but you will become stronger to deal with it. I was giving the example of it to the kids, to my class recently, and I told them that you see, when you go to a gym and you want to pick up a dumbbell which is about 25 kg and things like that, and you're weak, you will be able to lift it a bit and then you just put it down. And you continue to do that for a week, you will be able to lift it just about like you will be able to do one. Then you continue for a month, you will be able to do about 10 in a go. And then you continue after a year, you will know even the 25 kg will look like you're picking up like 5 kg, and you will be able to do so many sets of it. Yeah. So that becomes, even though the weight is still there, but you yourself have become strong enough to deal with it. So similarly, the calamities, the issues will be there, but your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your understanding of the Quran have become so strong that they seems nothing. So this was going to happen by you having connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Going to ayah number 9. فَذَكِّرْ إِن نَفَعَتِ الذِّكْرَى. So remind if the reminder should benefit. So this is now the second da'wah of the surah, that tadhkir bil Quran, to remind people by this Quran. This Quran needs to be publicated, then people will be able to understand the Quran. As we said, this is the book of Tawheed. This is the book to know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Without this, no matter what you study, which book you study, where do you go for your knowledges, you will be always have shortcomings. This Quran is perfect for you to know the one who is perfect, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Without the Quran, there is no iman. You are a Muslim either by name, by origin, where you're born, who you're born to, the people call you Abdul Rahman, Abdullah, Hamid, Mahmud. This is your current identity. But if you really want to believe internally, in your heart, your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is of a Muslim, then you must know the Quran. If you do not know the Quran, you are only a label of a Muslim. In reality, you are shallow. You don't have anything to do with the Quran. So you either have the Quran and you will be Muslim. You don't have the Quran, you are not a Muslim. People will call you whatever names, oh mashallah, he reads lots of Quran, he is hafiz of Quran and so on. That doesn't stand. If you do not know what the Quran is, if you're not living the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you to not do certain things, so you might be a big hafiz, mashallah, and so on. You'll be reading lots of Quran, you have big beard, jubba, and so on. Okay, wearing amazing hijab, and so whatever you do, but your aqidah, your belief with regards to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is wrong because you don't know the Quran. So no matter what you do, other than just the Quran that you read, it will not benefit you whatsoever if your aqidah, if your understanding of Quran is not there. If you don't understand the Quran, you cannot live the Quran. And the Quran has come for you to live, not to recite, not to chant. Yeah, this is the basic principle that we know. Even though it has been corrupted in our understanding nowadays, but this is the Quran has come for. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, تِلْكَ آيَاتُ اللَّهِ نَتْلُوهَا عَلَيْكَ بِالْحَقِّ فَبِأَيِّ حَدِيثٍ بَعْدَ اللَّهِ وَآيَاتِهِ يُؤْمِنُونَ. These are the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala which we have recited to you in truth. Then in what statement of Allah and His verses will they believe? If you do not understand the Quran, where are you going to get your guidance from? How are you going to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you don't have a clue what the Quran is talking about? You read it as much as you want. We said this again, your tongue may fall off from the recitation of the Quran so much that you do. But if you do not understand the Quran, your heart will still be empty. Your deeds will still be shallow. The things that you believe with regards to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always be wrong. Look at so many people that their forehead are black because of sujood. I don't even have example how they spend their entire life in the masajid and in these places that they live in. Okay, there's certain people that they live and die in front of these graveyard. Okay, reading adhkar, subhanallah, alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar, and so on. But is their belief according to what they are saying? So would that benefit them? No. They don't understand. They don't live. They're not following what they're reading. It doesn't have any value whatsoever. Same thing applies to Quran. If you do not understand the Quran, if you're not living the Quran, Quran is not your judge, Quran is not your way of life, no matter how much you recite, the sin of it will outweigh it than the ajr that you may ever get from it. So you are a more criminal in sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than the one who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would honor. So going to the ayah. So remind, if they remind, فَذَكِّرْ إِن نَفَعَتِ الذِّكْرَى. So in here, some ulama, they give in the detail, what does it mean, إِن نَفَعَتِ الذِّكْرَى, if the remind is beneficial. So you know, the people will not honor, they will have full ego. Some of them, they don't want it. Like in Surah Abasa, we had Amma man istaghna, those people who had istighna, those people who had haughtiness, takabbur, pride that they had. They saw themselves above the Quran and they thought that the Quran and Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam Islam is in need of them. This kind of attitude of people, they will not benefit from it. Like how a farmer who will not put water on rocks to get some sort of vegetation and things like that. They will look for a soil that will absorb, that will give, that have the capabilities in order to grow the vegetation. That's where the water will be given, yeah? So basically, what you need to do with these kind of people who do not have any, any maturity, they do not have any eagerness with regards to the da'wah that you are giving them. Give them da'wah, general da'wah, remind them whenever they need to be reminded, However, do not persist, do not chase them so much that they think that now they are something important in the da'wah that you are giving. So put them to a side. If they want it, good. If they do not want it, do not chase them. And another way of understanding, some of the ulama does that in nafa'at dhikra is here is mean id or qad. So that's why. So it would become so remind. Verily this reminder benefits. This how it will become. Or other ulama say that one portion of it has been mentioned and the other has been not. So you remind either if it benefits or does not benefit, because your job is something different. For you to remind and to give guidance is on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you do your job, whether they accept or does not accept, it's not on you. It's not a fault in you or in the da'wah. It is their problem. And in Tafhimul Quran, the Shaykh beautifully links the thing that we quoted in Surah Abasa, Amma man istaghna, and this ayah together. So he basically says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is informing Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and by that us as well, because we are the da'i of Islam, those people who preaches the Quran, those people who give da'wah. So they need to have the same mentality as what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing in these ayats. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not require us or Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam to make the deaf hear, the blind to see. We have an appointed duty, the rest is on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we will give admonition, we will call people towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If the people who are inclined to benefit, these are the people who will be our focus. So we will give general da'wah. And now we will determine who wants it, who are concentrated. Then those people will become our priority than those people who do not care. A reminder will still be given, but they will not be our priority. We will not be chasing them. Okay, we will not be pampering them basically. Our focus will be those who wants Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is what we're going to do, and this is what we're learning in this ayah. So remind if the reminder should benefit. Going to ayah number 10. سَيَذَّكَّرُ مَن يَخْشَى. He who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be reminded. The sign of people who would take benefit from the Quran, who would take benefit from this wahi. The one who fears. This will be their quality. And how would this khashya comes? Is through knowledge, is through understanding, through you wanting the Quran, through you sincere to absorb information, then the khashya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come. This is just basic understanding that you will not be able to appreciate something if you do not know about it. You will not be able to safeguard yourself from the harm of the issues of something if you do not know what the harms and what are the disadvantages and what of some of the properties of that thing is when it comes to our daily life in this dunya. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. Allah is better example. Same thing. If you do not know who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, you will not be able to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the only source for you to know truly who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is this very Quran. If you know the Quran, you know Allah. And when you know Allah, you will automatically have fear of displeasing Him, fear of the consequences that you will face from Him when you go against the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here are some of the ulama, some of the Sahaba that talks about this innama, and they use an ayah in the Quran, innama yakhsha Allah min ibadihi al-ulama. So those who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who are they? They are those people who have knowledge among His servants. That fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu says with regards to إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهِ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء, the one who among his servants who knows about Ar-Rahman is the one who does not associate anything in worship with him, the one who accepts as laws that which he has permitted. So he knows what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made halal, and accept as unlawful that which he has prohibited. He obeys his command and is certain that he will meet him and be brought to account for his deeds. And where are you going to learn all this? How are you going to make something haram which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made haram? Where are you going to learn this? How are you going to know what are the boundaries of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without the Quran? How are you going to know who Ar-Rahman is without the Quran? It all comes to the same point, that you have to come to the Quran. Even Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his life was according to Quran. He was ordered to live the Quran. He was ordered to follow the Quran. He was ordered to preach the Quran. This is what he came for. So Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the practical example of this very Quran. So if you are following Rasul, you are following the Quran. This is what it is. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam did not do anything which contradicts the Quran. So that's why I think in the previous lesson we said with regards to a hadith that contradicts the Quran. So we said it will have to be weak because it goes against the Quran. And Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not come to implement his own ways. He came to implement that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to him. That was Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the quote we mentioned, I think comes in Tafseer ibn Kathir. وقال سعيد بن جبير الخشية هي التي تحول بينك وبين معصية الله. Fear is what stands between you and disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May He be glorified. In Tafseer ibn Kathir, I think he mentions three types of individual, the knowledgeable people. One who knows the boundaries of Allah and he knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Second is a knowledgeable person who knows all the boundaries, who knows all the fara'id, so he has the knowledge of Quran, Tafseer, Shaykh al-Quran, he is Shaykh al-Hadith and so on, all the knowledges you can ever think of, he has that. And a third, who doesn't know all those things, he has extremely basic information, but he knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He knows that whenever I turn to, I have to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whenever I need some sort of assistance, it will be from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whenever good happens to me, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If anything bad happens, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a test or whatsoever, but it will always turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, he is lacking in some of the hudud of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He might be doing things that he is not informed of, that these are wrong, and later on in his life, or he will never be able to understand what they are. But this is the third type of people. So now the Shaykh says, not Tafseer ibn Kathir, the person he is narrating to, the one who knows, who is alim, who is the one who knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is from these three types of people. The one they exclude is the one who knows lots of hudud of Allah, meaning big Shaykh al-Quran, Shaykh al-Hadith, but however, he is not the one who is living, the one who knows Allah subhanahu. He is not following. He knows, but he is not implementing. He is not fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this guy is not alim billah. He is alim bi amrillah. He knows the hudud of Allah. He knows the boundaries of Allah, but he does not know Allah. So I hope this makes sense. The one who knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It does not matter. You might be thinking this guy who is sitting on the pulpit with big beard, big jubba, and mashallah, the miswak in his hand, he is always in the masjid and so on. However, he might have no so lots of knowledge. He's been to madaris and this and this and this. However, he is a criminal, basically. He is not living. He is misusing the Quran. He is misusing the knowledge. He is earning wealth on it. He is earning fame on it. This is his only focus. So this guy is not alim billah. He is not a knowledgeable person. He is not the one who knows Allah. He knows the hudud of Allah. He knows the boundaries of Allah, like shaitan, basically, Iblis. He is one of the biggest alim you can ever think of. However, he is not alim billah, he is alim bi amrillah. He knows. Whatever fiqh you tell him, he has the experience. Whatever books you tell him, he will know. The Quran was revealed to Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he will know it better than you and me. However, he is not alim billah, he is alim bi amrillah. Same applies to these shayateen from the human which are living amongst us. وقال مجاهد والشعبي العالم من خاف الله وقال ربيع بن أنس من لم يخش الله فليس بعالم. So these are some of the ulama who says عالم من خاف الله, العالم من خاف الله. Alim is the one who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Rabi' bin Anas, he says, the one who does not fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is not a alim. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. The ulama here we're talking about is not the one who are graduated from the madaris, but the one who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the boundaries that has been put. And I think that was in the Tafseer Ibn Jawzi, where the Mujahid Sha'bi and Rabi' bin Anas quote has been mentioned. And Ibn Aytiyah, he mentions وقال ابن مسعود كفى بخشية الله علما وبالاغترار به جهلا. Knowledge is sufficient for the fear of Allah and ignorance for being deceived by Him. You are completely ignorant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. People tell you that He is Ghafoor Rahim, Kareem, and He will forgive your sins and things like that. And you are living in that fairy tale, and this is the deception. Ya ayyuhal insanu ma gharraka bi rabbikal kareem. And the one who knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be the one who truly fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you are either a alim, and the quality will apply. This quality that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in here, سَيَذَّكَّرُ مَنْ يَخْشَى. Who this reminder will benefit, who this Quran will benefit, is the one who fears Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If this fear is not present, no matter how much you know of the Quran, how much have you memorized, how many tafsir you have looked at, how many madaris years that you have spent in, how amazing of your family tree is, it doesn't matter. You are not a alim. You are not a knowledgeable person in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when it comes to Allah. You might know the hudud, you know these are like I was listening to Mufti Ayaz, he says knowledge is that which changes what's inside, not what you know of the information. So you might be like a computer, but you're not a person who is a Muslim who knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala truly. You're not a mu'min. In a different place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, أَمَّنْ هُوَ قَانِتٌ آنَاءَ اللَّيْلِ سَاجِدًا وَقَائِمًا يَحْذَرُ الْآخِرَةَ وَيَرْجُو رَحْمَةَ رَبِّهِ قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ إِنَّمَا يَتَذَكَّرُ أُولُو الْأَلْبَابِ. Is one who is devotedly obedient during period of the night, prostrating and standing, fearing the hereafter and hoping for the mercy of his Lord, in brackets, like one who does not say, are those who know equal to those who do not know? Only they will remember, in brackets, who are people of understanding. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you the difference between the one who knows and the one who does not know. The one who is obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is true servant of Allah subhanahu. He truly fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala during the night and 24/7. He is cautious of Allah. This guy knows Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No matter if he hasn't spent even a day in a madrasa, if he knows, he truly turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is alim. He is the one who fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is a person who has knowledge. Last comment with regards to this ayah, and then we'll move on. Is Maulana Sindi rahimahullah. He says, who will the reminder benefit? The one who fears, would take appropriate steps before calamity befalls. This is just common sense. This person will do due diligence in his power to make sure that no harm comes. That's the first step that we will take. Second step is, even though he wants to avoid this calamity, but does he have the power, capability? Can he recognize the risk ahead? For that is the need of knowledge, for that is the understanding. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. So this is beautifully summed up. Indeed, you want to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to make sure that you please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But how do you know to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How you can truly worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So you have the fear, yeah? So the yakhsha is there. But in order to properly, in order to do to understand properly, for that you need knowledge. The knowledge will not automatically make you the one who fear Allah, but that is a tool for you to understand truly Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You meant to have this light in you in order to take. If you do not have the light, if you do not have the heart to absorb the information, no matter if the entire Quran is being read on you, if your heart is not there, it's like a rock. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put a stamp on it, if it has locks upon it, no matter if Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam is reciting to you the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at the time of revelation, fresh revelation, you will still remain Abu Jahl. You will still remain Abu Lahab. I hope that point makes sense. It continues to the next point. So this was talking about those people who will benefit the reminder, who the Quran will benefit. Now the next portion is talking about those people whom the reminder will not benefit. وَيَتَجَنَّبُهَا الْأَشْقَى. From here is talking about the second group, mu'anid, those people who are stubborn, those people who are full of themselves basically. And inshallah we have already extended the time a bit, so we'll stop here, and in the next lesson inshallah we'll try to finish the surah. Wallahu a'lam. May Allah forgive our shortcomings and accept the goods from us. Jazakallah khair for listening. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Quran al-azim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-hakim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.